Hi everybody. We're going to be going over Chapter 5 this week, Controlling Food Costs and Purchasing. So explain the purchase process and determine who should make purchasing decisions. Describe the importance of PAR levels and how to establish them. Explain different types of purchasing methods and their uses. Describe the parts of purchase specification and of purchase orders. And explain the importance of maintaining an ordering system. So purchasing is one of the key areas of being able to control your costs. It's important that the customer's expectations are met while keeping the cost down. There are several steps in the purchasing procedure that every restaurant should implement. Designate a purchaser. Determine what to buy by establishing product specifications. Estimate how often and how much to order. Choose a purchasing method. And then select your vendors. So who should buy? This could vary per restaurant. It could be anywhere. If it's a small establishment, it could be an owner, chef, owner operator. It could be just your chef, your kitchen manager. But whoever it is, it should be just one person that has that responsibility for purchasing any particular goods. Now they need to have many skills that they possess. They need to have a good balanced communication. They need to be able to talk to the vendors as well as your kitchen staff and the accountant. You need to have good math skills. You need to be able to figure out the basic math of ordering as well as tracking your inventory. And then computer skills. Now more than ever, almost all ordering is done through online ordering. You also need to have product knowledge. You need to know what you're ordering. You need to stay on top of what's coming out, what's new. You might need to be hitting whoever it is might be going to trade shows, farmers markets. Yeah. Now what to buy. To know what to purchase, a number of variables must be considered. Think about seasonal availabilities, fair pricing, and then the market value as well. Buyers must also be able to organize product specifications, have knowledge of the terms and standards, and uphold the standards of the business as well. Now, product specifications. They do have this one example in the book. It's really great if you're looking at apples, but it needs to describe it in all aspects. Managers need to get input from chefs and also production managers to write down all of the food needed to produce the menu items. Some specs that should be included: the product name, the intended use, the grade, the size, packaging, how it's coming to you, characteristics, acceptable substitutions, and bidder instructions. So here's another one that's a little bit nicer. There's really no right or wrong answer. I do have this as your guys' homework this week, and I did give you some templates to use. What I like about this one is that it has shelf life on there. I think that's something important, but it could also be put under characteristics as well. And if you look at it from the other end, if you're not sure what specifics you want, there's also product specification that you can get from your vendors like you see right here, and that might help make your decision as well. Now, product substitutions are a very important step in the product specs. This will help prevent any shortages or outs in your order. So if you have this one brand that you like, but there's one that's maybe a little bit more I don't know, for whatever reason it's still acceptable. Maybe it's just more expensive. The quality is just the same. The yield is just the same. So whatever you order, when that's out, the vendor will automatically send you that substitute instead. And this could also help lower your cost by being able to purchase the same quality at a lower price. And a good vendor will always let you know about new stuff coming out that will fit your needs. And it's also an important internal tool as well, not even for your accountants, to make sure they know that you're getting the right stuff. And even the people that are putting away the truck or checking that truck in, make sure that you're getting everything. They want to make sure that they know that's an acceptable substitute. Now, how much and how often to buy? Now, the act of purchasing costs money, not only for the product, but the labor to receive the bids, to make those purchases, to get the goods in, put them away, pay the invoices. This could be a good 20 hours, depending on how many deliveries, how many hands are put into this process. And the best way to obtain prices is to spend time on your bids or your RFP, your request for proposal. That could take up a good chunk of your time. That's definitely something you wouldn't want to try to skim down. Another point is that every time a truck has to go to a place, it costs money. If they're going out and dropping off small orders, they're going to the same town, like if you're ordering from Denver, they don't want to be coming out to Fort Collins every day. You know, there's lots of different timing on both ends that can keep costs low. So timing is definitely essential. But one end on the restaurant is thinking about your perishable goods. Those are the ones that have a very short shelf life, and then your non-perishable goods, more of your dry goods, canned stuff. So you want to make sure your perishable goods are purchased frequently, and the non-perishable ones, you can get those a little less often. You can kind of stock up, but you don't, there's always that fine line on stocking up. There's money sitting on the shelves and more tempted for people to steal. So there's some steps to estimate the amount to purchase. So you need to determine the amount of product that's needed till the next delivery. You want to check inventory to determine what you have on hand. So you just physically go look, check the shelves, check your walk-ins of what you have. Subtract what is on hand from amount needed. And the book does specify asking for a 5% safety measure. As you go on, you'll find what fits best for your establishment. 5% might be too much. Maybe that if those perishable things, that might be too much. Use this result as a calculation to use the amount to purchase. So par level is the amount of stock, the amount of food that you need to have in order to get through to the next delivery. Establishing pars is a critical importance to the restaurant and food service managers. It's because you have limited space, and some have different shelf lives. Some need to be served more fresh. Not only that, you don't want money sitting on the shelves. In addition, by determining the amount that needs to be on hand at all times, the operation manager, I'm sorry, I must have read, just came out wrong. In addition, by determining the amount that needs to be on hand at all times, operation managers prevent customer dissatisfaction. So either you're having outs, they're going to be dissatisfied, or you're just not serving a good quality product because it's been sitting inside the restaurant for too long. And when determining par levels, managers need to consider such factors as historical sales of a given item and the time it will take from placing the order until it actually is received inside the restaurant. So this is coming up again. So you want to, when you're establishing the par level, you want to determine the amount that's needed between deliveries. So if you get deliveries on Tuesday and you get another one on Friday. So on Tuesday's order, you got to make sure you make it through whenever Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And if you, depending on when that order comes on Friday, you might, if you get a morning order, it might be late. You might want to think about getting a half day sale for for Friday, or half day. Increase your par by half a day. Then determine the estimated usage between this time period. Add that safety factor. Then add the estimated amount of product, and then that safety factor equals the par. You want to set par levels for all ingredients and your supplies, depending on what your vendor is, what you're buying from them. But everything that can be accounted for in the store, you want to make sure that you have par levels. That way you can manage what's in. You can see how much you're going through. And then you want to include those pars on your order guide. So here's the one that they have in the book. So how to purchase. There are various ways to purchase products, some more economical than others. If used correctly, you can end up costing the operation way more money than needed. Some things to consider when choosing a method of ordering. The level of service that you need. Do you need to have the vendor come in and talk to you to make the order? Does the operation need frequent deliveries, or will it be one delivery a week? And then the quality specification needs. Do they have the quality of product you need? And then the prime vendor relationship needs. This is where it might kind of change your ordering, and then because if you don't have the minimum size amount to deliver, you might not be getting those deliveries that you want to need because it's not cost effective for your vendor. So you guys need to be able to make that good relationship and make good contracts on where that needs to be. So the forms of purchasing. So the first one, you have your competitive quotes, more independent establishments, smaller operations. And then we have the standing order. Those are really good for bakeries. I've worked in multiple places where we get fresh donuts and muffins, and we get the same amount coming in every morning. Or maybe different, every Monday is a specific order, every Tuesdays, but they come in, they deliver it. It's all set up and it's good to go. Another thing is, depending on the agreement that there can also the vendor also takes care of the par levels, and if there's more that's needed, they take it back and you get credit for it, so you're not paying for that. So someone's already taken care of all those needs. That usually costs a little bit more item wise, but you have no waste in the sense of over ordering, but they could still under order for you as well. And then you have your prime vendor, kind of your one-stop shop. Your cost plus chain. I'm sorry, cost plus, mostly for chain operations. Then you have your sealed bids. You see a lot of those in hospitals. And then your commissary, you see a lot of that as your franchise operations. So when choosing a vendor, you want to compile a list of all possible vendors. You want to rank the vendors. There are a lot of different things to consider. The type of a restaurant you have, what menu you're being served, what your customers are expecting. And you definitely want to check vendor references. You even check other chefs, other owners, what vendors they like, what do they see. Meet with a sales rep. Get to know them a little bit better. If you have a chance, visit the warehouse. You definitely need to establish the terms with the vendor. Now, a proper ordering system helps ensure that the amounts purchased make culinary and financial sense. Better ordering can lead to keep cash away from being tied up in excessive inventory levels. Lighter inventory levels on hand means more cash available to spend. So you just don't want money sitting on the shelf, especially if you're a smaller operation. Having too much can make a big difference. So turnover. It's recommended that inventory levels for food product turnover every 4 to 6 months. So that means there's nothing hanging out in the store longer than 4 to 6 months. Less than that and too much of that value is being invested in inventory. That's the electric bill. That's payroll that you could pay. It can't be sitting on the shelves. So yeah, the cash on hand difference between the correct and too infrequent levels of purchasing can have a negative effect on cash flow in the operation, like I just said. If it's a small place, that money can't be sitting there. If you're working for some big chain place, you're going to be fine as long as no one's stealing it. So here they have an example of an order guide in the book. So to facilitate having less orders and having the orders which are delivered to be more accurate, an order guide should be established. And there's some things that need to be included with that. You need to have a product, or the product description, the item description, the pack and size, a purchase unit, account unit, price, the vendor item code, par level, order history, the usage rate, and on-hand count. As you can see, the example doesn't have all of that, and that might not be your needs. These are just two examples of what might work for you. And if you have a POS system, you might even have something that looks a little bit different. Maybe more like this. Actually, I think this came from Cisco itself. It was still a paper one. But they're all going to look a little bit different, but all going to have just about the same exact thing. It still has the item number, their code, pack size, your par levels. Now talk about purchase order. They have a pretty poor example in the book of this purchase order. But a purchase order is what's sent to the vendor. It's the legal document which communicates the buyer's intentions. It also clearly spells out the conditions of the sale and the products from both this buyer and the seller. An invoice, that's what you get as a receipt after the item's delivered. It reinforces the order. You need to make sure those match up when you're getting the order in, when you're receiving it. So some things you want to look for on the purchase order. It's going to have a unique number to identify it. You can have purchase order. The date of the order, name of the operation, it's with its address and phone number, signature of a person placing the order, supplier name, address and phone number, maybe even your rep's name, date of delivery, terms of payment. I usually don't see that on the bigger vendors. You might see that on smaller ones. Usually that's already ironed out. Each item to be purchased, and as well as the vendor item number, the quantity and the unit, the item cost, and then the total cost. So you might see, if you are doing online, you might see something more like this. And that could also, once you're done with that purchase order, or the order form becomes the purchase order when you're going on online ordering and through your POS system. So submitting the purchase order, it's going to come down to the vendor on how they want to receive that order. Like I said before, most common is online ordering system. It saves time and money, especially on the vendor's end. They're not on the phone taking down each item and then entering it into their computer system. You're entering your computer system to there. So hopefully that savings of their labor comes off in their prices. There's still fax and phone. It's not as common. I have worked with a couple of small vendors that actually do like fax. Just send it on over to them, and then when they get a chance to do it at that certain time of day that they do it, it's already there waiting for them. There's no one spent on the phone. So improving the ordering system. The ordering system should be taken very seriously because incorrect ordering can result in food production delays, excess of inventory, or lower quality meals and dissatisfied guests by serving an older product. So some improvements that can be made. Like I said before, designate an order person. Keep good records of everything that's from all your vendors. Have a good security and train employees on ordering. So thinking about your record keepings. So you start with your purchase requisition. Now that's not something you're going to see in every restaurant. A requisition is basically asking permission to make the purchase order. So then you have your purchase order. You got your invoice. You want to keep those all together and maybe even pilot it in a receiving report. So if you have multiple vendors coming in, it will have, like, especially if you got a good POS system, it's going to give you a receiving report. And then you can match up each one of them on the report, get the invoice, purchasing order, keep that all together, and then you can send that over for approval from your accountant or wherever else is going after. That's usually the next step. So then they can see they have your end of it, and then they have the vendor make sure those match, and they can get that bill paid, or that vendor paid. So some security concerns. Security begins with hiring trustworthy employees. And using those record keeping system will also help make sure you can keep that employee. I guess you can check the employee is staying trustworthy. However, there are still some concerns that exist. So gifts or kickbacks from your suppliers. You want to make sure no one else is getting something that they shouldn't be getting. Now, substitutions on orders. You could be getting you're not getting the right product. You're not getting approved substitutions. And then also theft. Now, the purchasing process should be frequently reevaluated. You're going to change your power levels. You're going maybe even change vendors, change your product specifications. All this is a constant improvement. Now, the book also talks about, actually, after this, employee training on ordering. I would be very wary of that. And the book's paragraph is it leaves some to be desired there. But it all comes down to a judgment call on what employees are going to be doing any kind of ordering or purchasing. I think that should be left up to, a chef or your kitchen manager in this instance, or, even above that, you get management in there. So it just depends on who you have and who you trust. It's up to you. Oh, and there's also down below on the last page a sample order schedule. That would be great if definitely if there's more people ordering, and that'll help to keep you in line. If you don't have a fancy POS system, that will help keep you in line for your receiving report as well. That's all I have for you guys this week. As always, if you have any questions, please email me. Thanks, everyone.